Hey everyone, it's Matt from RealCoreanBlog.com, and today we're talking about something I don't do nearly enough of, admitting when I messed up. Because as much as I cruise, as many ships I've sailed on, as many spreadsheets, comparisons, and overthinking sessions that I've put into my cruising career, I still make mistakes, and honestly, that's kind of the point of this video. These aren't disasters, no one missed the ship, no passports were lost, no luggage ended up in Aruba while I was in Alaska. But they are mistakes that made parts of my 2025 cruise less enjoyable than they could have been, and they're things I'd absolutely do differently if I could rewind the clock. So if you thought Matt cruises all the time, he's got it all figured out, I promise you I don't. Let's talk about the 5 cruise mistakes I made in 2025, what I learned from them, and how you can avoid doing the same thing. Let's start with before the cruise even begins. For one of my sailings out of Miami, I booked a hotel in downtown Miami, and on paper, it looked fine. It's close to the port, it's easy to get an Uber, it's usually cheaper than South Beach. But here's the problem. Downtown Miami is boring. Now, I don't mean dangerous, I don't mean bad, I mean there's just nothing really to do within walking distance in a lot of cases. After checking in, we wanted to grab dinner. Not a sit-down dress up dinner, just something kind of casual. Instead, it was like, well, we could Uber again. This place is technically closed, but not really walkable. Do we really want to get back in a car? But compare that to a nearby neighborhood of Brickell. Brickell is also close to the port, but it's night and day different. You step outside of your hotel, and suddenly you have restaurants everywhere, coffee shops, rooftop bars, shopping, actual energy. Brickell feels like a place you want to be the night before your cruise. Downtown Miami feels like a place you're temporarily stuck until morning. So the lesson learned is I won't stay in downtown Miami again before a cruise. Next time, I'll pay maybe even a little more to stay in Brickell because the night before your cruise is part of your vacation, not something to rush through. Mistake number 2 surprised me. I took a spring break cruise on Icon of the Seas with my family. And if you know Icon, you know this ship is basically a floating destination. And yet, I booked too many beach days in a row. Now, don't get me wrong, I love beach days. But here's what happened. Every port day meant early alarms, rushing into breakfast, getting off the ship, and doing basically the same thing again. Beach, towels, chairs, sun, repeat. By the 3rd beach day, it felt less like vacation and more like routine, especially with the kids trying to get them going. Meanwhile, Icon of the Seas was sitting right there. That left us with just 2 sea days to enjoy what Icon has to offer, like the Aquadome, Surfside, Category 6 water park, especially dining, shows, and the neighborhoods. And it just wasn't enough time. In hindsight, my mistake was I should have skipped one of the ports and maybe Roatan entirely. Not because Roatan is bad, it's actually great, but because on that sailing, Icon was worthy of a destination in and of itself. That extra day on board would have meant sleeping in, riding slides without lines at the water park, exploring neighborhoods at a relaxed pace. Heck, I could have just hung out in the Swim and Tonic pool bar and enjoyed that. So the lesson here is simple. Don't overport your cruise, especially on mega ships. Sometimes the best excursion is actually staying on board. Number 3, this one is 100% on me. So I booked a short Bahamas cruise on Utopia of the Seas, Royal Caribbean's weekend party ship. So I packed accordingly. Shorts, t-shirts, bathing suits, very flip-flops and vibes energy. But what I didn't account for, a winter cold front. Yeah, in the Bahamas. Our day at Perfect Day Key was beautiful, sunny, clear, but chilly. Not cold, but I wish I had a hoodie cold. And then came disembarkation day back in Port Canaveral. I walked off the ship in shorts, a t-shirt, and a stiff breeze that felt personally insulting. Cold for Florida is still cold. So what did I learn? Always pack one warm outfit, and also, check the weather before you leave for the cruise. I assumed too much, and this is true no matter where you're going in the world. Alaska, Caribbean, Europe. The day or two before your cruise begins, or at least the day or two before you leave for your cruise, you need to check the weather. Even if you're assuming it's a straight shot, guaranteed to be okay, like you're going to Mexico in the middle of July, you really should check the weather forecast on them, because whether you're taking a short cruise like I did, even on a party ship, the weather doesn't care if your packing list isn't correct. Mistake number 4 was something I almost made. This one almost happened, but I caught it, and actually a number of folks actually alerted to me this actually here on YouTube. So before my family's first European cruise, I defaulted to what felt safe. Cruise line excursions, organized tours, big buses. But when I actually read the descriptions, it hit me. A lot of European cruise excursions are basically, here's a bus, we'll drive you around. Big groups, slow pacing, limited time, where you want it. And here's the thing, Europe is incredibly walkable. Public transportation is excellent. cities are designed to be explored on foot. I realized I really didn't need Royal Caribbean to take me somewhere I could easily explore on my own. So we pivoted. We canceled those excursions and we decided to explore independently. It allowed us to move at our own pace and spend time where we wanted it. Now, of course, it required more work on my part. I had to Google what to do, where to go, how to get there, and also look at the public transportation options. But in so many ports of call, whether it was Copenhagen or Hamburg, it was just so much simpler to rely on public transportation to get us there, and it was really, really easy. In fact, I saw a lot of other cruisers were doing this, and this is one of the best tips you can have when you're exploring Europe. Now, there are some cases where if you're traveling a long distance, a bus tour is an inevitability and a necessary evil, if you will. But when your cruise ship brings you to a major city and you basically dock right there, it is very easy and simple to walk off the ship, walk a short distance to the nearest public transportation area, and then hop on a bus or a metro or subway, whatever they want to call it, and go there. So the lesson learned is cruise line excursions are great when the logistics are hard, but in Europe, DIY often wins. Mistake number 5 is one actually saved me money after I fixed it. So I booked flights to Europe directly with the airline, and I think part of this was because I thought I'd have more control over it, but also when the flights became available, I was just so excited to book my flights. Like, this is my family's first European cruise. I wanted it to be fantastic. So the first opportunity I had to get a flight, I was like, oh, I'm going to book them now, lock it in, bam. So that novelty, that overexcitement stimulation from, hey, let's plan a cruise, it got to me. But a little bit later, I realized it was actually cheaper to go with Royal Caribbean's Air to Sea. Royal Caribbean's Air to Sea program allows you to combine airfare with your Royal Caribbean cruise. Not only was it cheaper because Royal Caribbean subsidizes the airfare, but it offers flight protections, rebooking help, and peace of mind. And as of right now, Air to Sea is offering up to $250 off flights for Alaska and European cruises in 2026. Now, this one I was a little lucky with because I booked refundable airfare, so I was able to actually cancel my flight through the airline and then have my travel agent help me book Air to Sea and go that way. Same flights, same dates, but saved a lot of money along the way. So the lesson learned is always price check Air to Sea before locking anything in. Even if you don't book it, it's definitely worth comparing. I wanted to share one other mistake one of our other writers, Allie, did when she went to Asia for the very first time, because one of the biggest mistakes she made was not arranging her planned tours in advance. And when she says in advance, she emphasized she wishes she had done it several months before embarkation date. Although she had the majority of the excursions planned, there were a few days of the cruise that were left kind of open. And sometimes that can be nice to have some flexibility. However, it really created a problem for her when she tried to plan a tour for their day in Tokyo. Her mistake was because the ship was disembarking them in Tokyo, she was waiting to see if Royal Caribbean would offer a disembarkation tour there. But that was never really offered. So when she finally started looking for alternative options a few weeks before the cruise, she realized quickly that she should have planned this well in advance. Little did she know that the cruise would arrive in Japan during Golden Week, which is one of the country's busiest tourist periods. So instead of arranging tours with experienced guides for her time in Tokyo, she struggled to navigate the train stations on her own, and when it came to disembarkation, she couldn't find a local company to provide the tour that she was hoping for. I think this is actually a really good piece of advice in general. When you're planning your cruise, it's always important to plan in advance and have backup options, like book excursions many months, but make sure they're refundable so you have a fallback in case things don't go your way. So that wraps up my 5 cruise mistakes from 2025. Nothing catastrophic, but all things made me say, yeah, I do that differently next time. And that's the beauty of cruising. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to learn as you go. And if you've made a cruise mistake before, and trust me, we all have, let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, or you'd like to watch more of them, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notifications. That way, YouTube lets you have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.